Welcome to the explainer. Have you ever had a job that was, well, just a job? And then another one that felt like a real calling? It turns out there's a real science behind that difference. So today, we're going to break down the framework for what makes a workplace thrive. We're exploring the 10 key factors that really spark motivation, connection, and true commitment. Right. So to really get to the heart of this, let's kick things off with a classic story. Just imagine for a second. You walk onto a big construction site. You see 3 different workers, and you ask each one of them the exact same question. Hey, what are you doing? Their answers? Well, they tell you everything you need to know. So the first guy, he kind of sighs, doesn't even look up, and just says, I'm laying bricks. For him, it's all about the task right in front of him. It's a chore, it's repetitive, it's just a job. Something he has to get through. Now, the second worker, he gives you a slightly different answer. He says, I'm building a wall to support my family. Okay, that's a lot more noble, right? He sees the purpose behind the paycheck. It's a means to an end. But notice, the focus is still on what he gets out of the work, not the work itself. But then you get to the third bricklayer. And when you ask him, he looks up, and there's this spark in his eye. He says, I'm building a great cathedral. See the difference? He gets it. He sees the bigger picture. He knows his small task is part of this huge, lasting legacy. He feels like he belongs to something way bigger than himself. That third bricklayer, he is the perfect picture of what we call employee engagement. And it's so much more than just being happy at work. It's that deep, positive connection you feel to the mission. It's a powerful commitment that makes you actually want to bring your A game. And that brings us to a really key distinction here. We have to be careful not to confuse engagement with just job satisfaction. Satisfaction is about being content, right? It's the free pizza and the break room, the comfy chair, and that stuff is nice, but that feeling can be temporary. Engagement, that's different. It's about passion. It's about commitment. It's an active, driving force, not just a passive feeling of being okay with your job. So, the big question is, how do you actually build a whole workplace full of these cathedral builders? Well, it all starts with our very first pillar, the work itself. This is the bedrock, the foundation, and it stands on 2 absolutely critical factors. Factor number 1, clear expectations. I mean, think about it. If you don't know what good looks like, how can you ever achieve it? You're just flying blind. Ambiguity is an absolute motivation killer. It just leads to wasted effort and this nagging feeling that you can never quite get it right. But when people know exactly what their role is, what they're responsible for, and the quality that's expected, then they can pour all their energy into hitting that target. And the second factor is having sufficient resources. And resources is a much, much bigger idea than just money or fancy equipment. It's about having the right people on your team. It's having the right information when you need it. It's having enough time to actually do the job well, and this one's huge, having the authority to make the decisions you need to make. If you're missing any one of these, even the most motivated person is going to grind to a halt. This is the sound of pure frustration, that constant feeling of, man, if only. When people lack resources, it creates so much friction, and it sends a really powerful message, It says, we're not really setting you up for success here. It's not about having the latest and greatest tech. It's just about removing the basic roadblocks that stop people from doing great work. Okay, so once that foundation of the work itself is solid, we move on to our second pillar, the people. Because let's be real, nobody builds a cathedral all by themselves. The human environment you're in every day is just as critical. This people ecosystem is incredibly powerful, and it holds our next 5 factors. So, number 3. Having a supervisor who actually supports you, who has your back. 4, working alongside people who are collaborative and you can count on. 5 is feeling connected to that bigger mission, that purpose we talked about. And finally, factors 6 and 7, a culture of recognition and a feeling of psychological safety. These 2 are so important, we're going to zoom in on them right now. Let's dive into recognition. It's not just about a year-end bonus. It's really a ladder of affirmation. It starts with the simplest thing, existence recognition, a friendly hello, just acknowledging someone's presence. From there, you move up to recognizing their actions, then their growth. Hey, I see you're getting better at this. And finally, you celebrate the real, concrete results they deliver. Every single step builds confidence and shows people that their work truly matters. So how do you make recognition actually stick? A generic good job is nice, sure, but it's pretty forgettable. This is where the SBI method is so powerful. It makes feedback specific. You state the situation, when and where it happened, you describe the specific behavior you saw, and then you explain its impact. This turns praise from just a nice little pat on the back into a genuine coaching tool that reinforces exactly what you want to see more of. All right, our seventh factor is psychological safety. And just look at the contrast here. In a workplace that runs on fear, people hide their mistakes. They're afraid to ask questions because they don't want to look dumb, and they would never, ever challenge a bad idea. But in a safe environment, the complete opposite happens. People feel safe enough to ask questions, to take smart risks, to fail and learn from it, and to speak up. And because of that, the entire team gets smarter and way faster. So, with the work and the people firmly in place, we've arrived at our third and final pillar, the self. This is all about your own internal engine, your personal growth, your unique strengths, and your sense of ownership. And this is where we find our last three factors. So let's talk about factor number 8, leveraging strengths. The most engaged people aren't just doing work they can put up with, they're doing work that actually energizes them. When you get to use your natural talents every single day, it creates this amazing, virtuous cycle. The work feels less like work, you get better results, your confidence skyrockets, and you're actually excited to take on the next big challenge. Autonomy is our 9th factor. It is a huge driver of engagement. But, and this is a big but, it's not one size fits all. Giving a total beginner complete freedom is just setting them up to fail. The real key is to match the level of autonomy to a person's skill level. As someone grows from a beginner into an expert, a leader's style has to evolve right along with them, from directing to coaching to supporting, and finally to just delegating and getting out of the way. And that brings us to our 10th and final factor, a sense of growth. Nobody wants to feel like they're just running in place, right? We have this fundamental human need to see progress, to feel like we're getting better. Without those opportunities to grow, work just gets stale and our confidence takes a nosedive. The best managers get this. They're constantly pointing out progress and looking for new ways to help their people learn and develop. And here's a really cool idea. You don't always have to wait for your manager to make this happen. Job crafting is the art of taking control yourself. It's about proactively reshaping your own tasks, your relationships at work, even how you think about your job, all to better align it with your own passions and strengths. It can make almost any role more meaningful. So there we have it. We've looked at the foundational work, the human environment, and that internal individual drive. Now, let's see how these 3 pillars and our 10 key factors all snap together to create a real playbook for engagement. And this, right here, is the crucial point. These pillars, they're not a menu you can just pick and choose from. They're all interconnected. Think of it like a 3-legged stool. A great team can't make up for a total lack of resources forever. And autonomy is pretty useless if nobody knows what they're supposed to be doing. You need all 3 pillars, the work, the people, and the self, to be strong and stable. So here's the big takeaway for today. Engagement isn't something you can buy with perks and benefits. It's something you have to build with purpose. It all starts on that solid foundation of the work itself. It absolutely thrives in a supportive, safe environment, and it's sustained by empowering people's individual growth and autonomy. If you let one of those pillars wobble, the whole structure is at risk of coming down. So we'll leave you with a final question. Take a look at this whole framework one more time and really think about your own workplace. Whether you're a leader or you're part of a team, what is the single factor that, if you focused on it tomorrow, could make the biggest difference for you? That's your starting point.